Okay, members and friends, today's February 26, 2014. What we're going to talk about, this is just an introduction because I think I'm going to have to do a little series here. Okay, you see this board? See the title? It says Christy Clark's, well, I should put an S there, AAA credit rating. Okay, I'm having an issue with these guys right there. And I'm having an issue with those guys right there. I just haven't filled in the blanks yet. This is our side. Household politics equals us. Which could be you, members and friends. Anyway, I'm going to do this, like I said, I think in bits and batches. After I'm done, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to show you, I'm going to just talk to you briefly. But here's those collection boxes. I'm working on those collection boxes. There's 12 of them there right now. They're like maybe a third done. I still got 2/3 of a ways to go with these things. There was 13, but somebody already stole one from my house. Personally, I think it was my daughter, my oldest daughter, because she had to leave. You know, Andre's going to be coming home pretty soon, and you know, my daughter's had over a year to work on bettering herself to some degree to where she, you know, to compare to what she's at right now, and it's just not working out. So, you know, she's mad, right? She's hurt and she's mad because she hasn't gotten the health care that she's needed. But we'll talk about that over there. In the meantime, I've got 12 boxes. So having one box taken even before they're out the door just shows you how vulnerable those boxes really are in terms of other people stealing money from them once they start to fill up. Here is some food from food storage. Trying to save on a little bit of gas here. Got no money for nothing these days. So you got to burn a candle just to stay warm. But this is food that I brought from downstairs, and I'm recycling it now. Right. Because we are human and we do need to eat. And then I've got some other stuff there in a can on the bottom of this can here. But this is what kind of kept us going for the last 6 months or so without welfare and, you know, household income dropping and banksters hijacking accounts with their Visa payments and all this other stuff. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, members and friends. I think that's okay. I'm going to call this one the 4 tampons. This is just an introduction. Just remember that. Okay? The 4 tampons that cost $644.57. Can you imagine that? 4 tampons. And how it started, as we all know, I was cut off of welfare back on November 14th, 2013. I went 95 days without welfare before I put the application back in, because slowly but surely we're just on the tipping edge of going into bankruptcy. This is what this board's going to be about, because I'm going to put the numbers down. We're going to use my family household income and what's been going on over the last year or so as the case study, I guess you could say. Right? And we're going to talk about how politics, you know, on a provincial level plays a role in the household level, right? Within the household. And you know, we're, you know, not so much the federal government, because there's such a thing as called public works, but that I'll explain later. So in the meantime, what happened was, I'm going to tell you the story and I want to keep it quick, right? Yeah, I put the application in, I think it was January 28th for social services, and you have to do it online, right? And then you got to wait until, you know, you get a number or something, and then And then you got to wait for them to call you, and it can take up anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks before you get a social assistance check. So I put the application in on January 23rd because I just couldn't meet my bills. My dad's pension's just not enough to cover household expenses, right? And I had to, my girls weren't working enough. They, it was too hard for them. They're too young, and it's too much of a responsibility for them to try and maintain on a house with a high debt load. Okay, so I put the application in January 28th, and then, but I had no money because the little bit of money that I had went to bills. Because what's happening is we've got 2 credit cards that pull in $240 each in their interest, I think. So that's more than that, like $570. I don't know. They're getting over like $500 a month between my credit card and my dad's credit card because of all this funky crap that's been going on this last year with no money in the house. So I've been having to juggle bills, right? And the banks are hijacking. The bank is actually hijacking my dad's account if we're like 7 days late on the payment or 2 weeks late. Like they're idiots. But when you're running on a AAA credit rating in partnership with banks, I guess the bank can do whatever it wants when it wants. Because that's what it's seeming to be like, and that's what I'm going to point out over the next couple of videos. There goes Lace crowing. I was going to buy him some food today, but I didn't get a welfare check. Even though it all got approved, and I picked one up 3 days ago for $849 or whatever it was. It wasn't even for a full month, and I filled in the stub and all this other stuff. They still didn't mail it to me. Oh, the story gets even more interesting than this. I didn't get a welfare check, even though I waited for over a month to get one, filled out all the paperwork, submitted everything, and we didn't get that. So I get my car insurance coming out on the 28th, but I got no money. And my dad's account has been hijacked because what happened was, okay, no money, January 28th, whatever, and, the February 2nd comes along. I'm like, there's no money. And I got girls in the house that need tampons. And everybody's like, you got money? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I paid bills. I paid what little few bills I could pay. Well, I got a whole big stack of bills calling me up and making threatening things on the phone, harassing me every day, right? And I'll list them down, okay? And we'll see who the bigger culprit is here. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how government and their partners are criminalizing the poorest of the poor through economics, okay? Because they get you from more than one angle, right? So, anyway, I go off to the local shelter just down the road. Because they will give out free tampons for people who need it. And I said to my daughter, my oldest daughter, right? I said, well, let's go there. And you can just run in quickly for me. Because I need at least a couple. Not for me. I haven't had my period for 12 years. I stopped my period from stress when I was 40. My doctor said my ovaries just went to sleep. I'm like, So, okay, so she runs in and she comes back. I think she's got like 4 tampons. But as I'm sitting there, there's this guy with a big garbage bin, with a bunch of cans in it. And it turns out he's the fella that put the cement posts in for me, right? For Andre's greenhouse. And he asked me to give him a ride home. And I'm like, well, I have no money. I can't drive you anywhere. He says, well, I'll give you $5 for gas. Can you help me with this, big bucket, with like a big garbage bin full of, dented cans. Because he bought it for $10 off of somebody off the strip. And he was going to take it to his recovery house. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do that if you can give me some gas. So I take him. I drop him off. Next day is what? The 3rd, right? February 3rd. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, well, we know I probably won't get welfare for the next anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. If I'm lucky, a little sooner. And I've got like maybe 7 bills that are just not paid and haven't been paid. On top of, hydro crying for their money, gas crying for their money, credit cards crying for their money, So he calls me up and he says, hey, I know you don't have a lot of money, he says, but, I got my buddy here, and, he needs some help, and maybe he can help you. I'm like, okay, well, what do you have in mind? He says, well, he's got his GST check. He was in the federal prison there for, a couple of years. He just got out, and, he has no way to cash his ID, like cash his GST check, because he has no ID. If you help him out, he'll give you $100 for that. And I'm like, okay, that's 2 bills, $50 each. That's 2 bills, get them off my back, right? And I said, well, hold on. So I talked quickly with my dad, and I'm like, well, you realize if we cash this check and it goes NSF, we're going to have to be held accountable for it. But because my dad gets pensions directly deposited into his account, we knew that if for some reason it went NSF or bounced or whatever, right, was a bad check or whatever, it would be covered. So the bank wasn't going to be out of its money. Plus, I work on a nonprofit. I wish I could help 1,000 guys. I wish I could help 10,000 people if I could, but I can't. Because I'm always on political lockdown with this nonprofit. You see those collection boxes moving like a snail. I don't see nobody stepping up to the plate and helping me with that. If anything, I feel like I'm being oppressed with that. And it's on days like this when I don't even want to work on that. Because why? Nice people don't get rewarded. Bottom freaking line. If you do nice things, you get shit on. And I'm going to show it to you this way. Because this is the crap I've been dealing with for a long fucking time. Anyway. So, get off the phone. Okay? I discuss it with my dad. We both agree. Yeah, if we can't help 1,000 people, young people, that are being kicked to the curb out in the streets, facing murder every fucking week over $20, $40, who knows, We know that when these guys get out of prison, they don't qualify for nothing because the BC Liberal government has made it impossible for them to get anything. Even normal people like myself that try and stay out of trouble, we have to wait anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks just to, get a phone call back, right? I mean, for crying out loud, I'm going to a homeless shelter to get freaking 4 tampons. They gotta be pretty damn broke to be begging for tampons. Right? So why wouldn't you feel sorry for somebody? Huh? And I mean, I said to my dad, well, we're kind of going bankrupt with this bank heisting your account, heisting my account, trying to take all this interest because we were late on payments with their Visa, so they jacked up the interest so they could take more money, and then as soon as you don't pay it within 7 days, they want to put a hold on your account and freeze your account. And it's like, who's the bigger gangster here? It's not the one that just got out of prison. So I said, let's help him out. My dad said, yeah, let's help him out. Take a chance. I mean, the guy his buddy cemented the posts up there. I found the hammer. He didn't steal nothing. He put a good day's work in, right? I gave him some food. I made him some food. I gave him a little bit of money, him and his buddy, and I got the foundation for my greenhouse. Okay. So I go to the bank. And it's a young guy, 28 years old maybe. Oh, he told me he was 28. All I could see is he had a little tattoo here, right? His jeans were all ripped up and holy. Okay, whatever, it could be fashion. He was clean though. He sure in the hell didn't smell. He was, clean. But he was young and had nothing. Now, you could see a little tattoo peeking out, and he had his little cap on. So, short hair, he was white. And if he wasn't white, he was Métis. Because Métis people can sometimes look white. Because his buddy, I think, is native. Because his buddy gave me some sort of a, I don't know where it is right now, but he gave me a little bracelet with all these little eagles flying around. Okay. And I'm like, okay, so what's your name? Andrew. Well, I'm Mama Lynn. How old are you? 28. Well, I'm Mama Lynn. That's what you call me. If you're 28, I'm Mama Lynn. All right. So, we exchange information, right? We were in the bank for like a half an hour standing in line because the check itself, because he gave me the check, right? I got the check right here. It got returned. I don't know if you can see that. Here, I haven't opened it up yet. Hold on a second. Because it's turning into a war. Seriously. They hijacked my dad's account. today. I don't know when they did, because they're investigating it. Because we're asking them to investigate, because we want to know why the bank gave us back the dirty check. You know? So anyway, long story short, we get through the teller, because I couldn't do it through my machine, because if I did it through the machine, I wouldn't have been able to give him his full dollar amount, right? The check itself, well, I'll just cover up the name there, right? Hold on. There. Okay, you can see that. It's a GST check. Okay? And if you can see right there, it came back on the, well, the 6th, because it went through the machine, because they wouldn't cash it at the teller, because they tried to say there was something wrong with it. So they, you know, the teller, he walks off, right? And then he comes back and he says, give me your phone number and we'll call you. And I'm like, call me? Why you want to call me? Like, we want to talk to the manager. Because first of all, I only know Patrick, okay? From my greenhouse. His buddy, Andrew, is the one that needed some slack cut for him. And just, you know, needed some help cashing his check. And since we're crashing anyway, my dad and I thought, well, we could help at least one person. You know, if it prevented him from being murdered that night because he had beef out there with some little $40, you know, bullshit crap, you know, that somebody needed their $40 fucking dollars so bad up in Surrey that they had to, you know, I'm a gangster, I'm going to beat you up over $40 fucking dollars, you know? Well, hopefully we saved his ass that night. That's what we were thinking. And we also know that provincial government doesn't have his back because they make them stand in line, you know, or fill out their forms online or whatever it is. And if they don't like you, it's 6 weeks later and they might call you. So, okay. But we're in the bank, right? Whatever. We're in the bank and we're like, you know, we're exchanging information here. Right? He gave me all this information. I gave him my information for my nonprofit. I said, this, you know, you need to come and hook up with me and talk to me about what it means to get out of the federal prison and not have access to no safety nets. Because I know you're not the first fella out there getting out of prison, whether it's provincial or federal, and not getting nothing. He says, yeah, well, if you come out of federal prison, you don't even qualify for provincial assistance. Because I guess the federal government gives them $30 a week or something, he was saying. So I need to do some follow-up and fill in the blanks on this because that's what I'm doing. I'm working on it, people. So, you know, and that's playing on my sympathies even more, right? But we're in the bank, you know, and Patrick's bringing us coffee. So we're in line because there's a big-ass long lineup that day. I don't know why. So half an hour later, we get finally to the teller. Teller takes the check, runs off, tells me to phone, you know, they're going to phone me. And I'm like, well, hold on. I can't just walk off with his check sitting there when it's not my check, right? You know, if they were being elusive and trying to protect me, I'm sorry, you just don't take somebody's, you know, I come and say cash him because he said he didn't have ID, so they run off and they don't want to give back the check, but they're telling me that they're going to call me when I don't even know this guy. I'm like, well, no, I need to talk to the manager because it's not my check, right? And I can't just leave the kid hanging. That's what I was thinking. So, okay, you know, bank manager comes. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to say it. She was a little short, young Punjabi woman. And I hate to say it. Uh-oh. Doesn't that always work like that? Be right back.
On the phone?
Yep. Okay, that was the collection guy. These people, they call me up sometimes 2-3 times a day for ambulance bills. Ambulance bills. When they took my grandson away, my kids, we're still depressed. My middle daughter was having seizures and was passing out. Was feeling suicidal at one point. I had to take her to the fucking hospital, right? And the psychiatrist tried to prescribe her with drugs, and I'm like, oh, thank God she never took them, and she's, you know, she's better, right? But even still, they're calling me for their money. So they give me a welfare check to pay freaking ambulance bills, $240 freaking dollars. And because I don't have that kind of money, they're harassing me all the fucking time. There's your BC Liberal government. That's a public service. Before the BC Liberals came in, the ambulance bill was public service. And if you couldn't afford it under your Blue Cross or whatever the hell it was, and you were on welfare, it was covered under welfare. Not anymore. You're on welfare. They give you a welfare check so you can pay your ambulance bill. That's what they do. So anyway, I'm standing in the bank, okay? And they want to call me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be called. I want to be dealt with this right now, because after I leave this situation, I'm done. I helped the kid out. That was it. Okay. And she want to argue. The check, there's something wrong with it. I've been a bank teller. I've been a bank manager for a long time, and I can see when a check has been altered or tampered with or whatever she said. And I'm like, well, he's like, well, show me where. And I'm like, yeah, show me where. Show us where. Show us where it says on there that it's been, altered. Because if you can't show us, then cash it. My dad has had his bank account for 23 freaking years. 20 years we've been dealing with that particular account. Okay? I have to do the banking for him because he's blind and he can't see. And he leaves me to do the math. All right. So, and she's like, oh, well, it smells. I can see a check I can smell a check. I can smell it when it's bad. And she used the word smell. And that insulted not only him, but it insulted me. Because I know what these young people go through out here. And if you're white and you're considered white trash in an East Indian community, South Asian, Punjabi, whatever you want to call us, call them. Because it's a race war out here. It is. With the politics. Well, the government fuels it along. And that's why I'm doing this. It smells. Yeah, okay, well, show me where it smells. And I asked her, I said, okay, so if the teller won't cash it, right? And I run it through the ATM for him, what will happen? Because I could have simply went to the ATM and done it with them without even bringing it to their attention. I didn't have to take it to the teller. Right? Oh, well, if we do it through the teller, then we take responsibility for it if it's no good. But if you do it through the ATM, well, then you take responsibility for it, but there's going to be consequences to it because we're going to penalize you for running a bad check because we've warned you. I'm like, okay, but you haven't pointed out what's wrong with it. So you might as well give it back or keep it. Which one? And he's saying, yeah, which one? Either you're going to keep it or give it back. Well, what did she do? She gave it back. Okay, fine. So she got her little, what do you call that crap? Her little, her little episode on video, right, with everybody. It smells. Yeah, you go ahead and look like that. Because we know what you're doing. You're discriminating against this guy, which made me even more protective over him. Because that's what I fight for. That's what those collection boxes are for, is to help the poorest of the poor. The ones that can't fucking cash their GST checks. The ones that can't go get welfare. Because there is no such thing as welfare in Canada. And if you're lucky enough to get it, well, they're still dickering away because they got their freaking collection agency phoning you up for fucking ambulance bills after they take your grandson and make your house sick. Okay, stay on track. This was supposed to be short, but it's not so short because it's like, okay, so we leave. Now I'm like outside and I'm on the cement. I'm sitting down and I'm like, I gotta have a smoke, right? Because we've been in the bank for a whole fucking hour. Patrick was bringing us coffee while we were standing in line, and then we argued with the manager for a good 15 minutes. Well, she was passive-aggressive, and then in the end gave him back the check. Because we said, if you can't show us where there's something wrong with it, give it back. It's his check, and if they can't prove that there was something wrong with it, why keep it? And I said, well, if I run it through the ATM, well, then I guess I'll have to take the freaking responsibility. My dad and I, we already discussed it before we walked out the freaking door because we knew that his pension plan was going to be deposited at the end of the month. So if worst case scenario was, it was a scam, the bank wasn't losing anything. Because we weren't trying to run no fucking scam. If anything, we think the bank was running a scam. And if the bank wasn't running a scam, well then I'm going to prove that the bank is the bigger bank gangster when it comes to politics and their partners. Okay, because it's bullshit. So, okay, now I'm sitting out there and I'm like, okay guys, I'm scared. I got one-on-one, I got Patrick on this side and I've got Andrew on this side. And I'm like, well now I'm scared. I don't know if I want to cash this thing. Oh, you know, if it was a dirty check, if it was altered, blah, you know, the bank wouldn't have gave it back to us. They would have called the cops and had me arrested. I said, well, I guess you have a point. I just got out of federal prison. Why would I have my face all over the camera in the bank for a whole good hour? I said, yeah, you got another point. Right? I mean, he had valid points. If the check was bad, they would have kept it. Yeah, you have a point. Well, Patrick is on this year saying, oh, you know, take a chance, you know, cut him some slack. You know, he's a good guy, you know, you gotta just take, you know, and take a chance. And I'm like, when do I not take chances with my nonprofit? If you've known anything about me all these last 14 freaking years, that's all I've ever been doing with this nonprofit is taking fucking chances. So I said, the hell with it, okay. Because he started to cry. Andrew was crying, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Well, I don't know what to do now. Because I'm like, well, why can't you take it to money market? Oh, money. You know, it's been a long time. And I say, okay, what about your grandparents? Well, you know, they're in Quitlam and I can't get there. And they're in New Zealand. And I said, okay, well, let's take it to Revenue Canada. There's a Revenue Canada agency over there. Turns out that they shut down. There's no more agency there anyway. So either or, long story short, I went and I ran it through the ATM. I gave him $500 flat out. I said, okay, the other $85 you can get on Saturday if the check clears, right? And the other 100, well, you know, is mine, technically, right? And then I came home, I discussed it with my dad. I said, well, you know, $100 is kind of a lot of money. The only reason I'm kind of doing it is because of the bills breathing down my back. And also, too, because these guys got nobody out there helping them. They don't. Very little. Very fucking little. That's why hockey moms are getting murdered out here. Because the provincial government and the local governments and the banks and the banksters and the gangsters, they don't give a shit. This is what you call living in the jungle. And if we don't start looking after each other, nobody's going to look after us. I think that's what it was. I was trying to look after my own in my own community because I know that these bigwigs over here don't give a shit. All right, Sunday comes. Now I already bought a pack of smoke and I'm running. I have no money, so I started to dip into it, right? Buying, you know, because I'm a smoker. So smoke's here. But by Sunday, the number he gave me, I called it. This one right there. Called that number. They didn't know who he was. It was a young male, but he didn't know who he was. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then Monday, I called his probation officer name and the number that he gave me. Only she's not in. I'm like, okay. She's coming back on the 14th. I haven't gone to Patrick's place yet. I haven't gone to the recovery house yet, right? I was going to maybe do that today, but I'm grounded because the story gets even more funky. So, okay. Anyway. So I'm buying smokes, right? And then I pass his $85 and I'm cutting in now, right? Into his 85 and I'm like, okay, well I get my family allowance on the 20th. Soon, because maybe he ended up back in jail for breach. Right? Either or I owe him money, right? Maybe he got murdered and he's in the bush. Wouldn't be the first time or the last time. We know that for a fact. Right? You know, maybe he got stuck up in wherever and he just can't get back and he lost my paper because, you know, he's all freaked out. Like anything could have happened. Doesn't mean I won't run into him like I didn't run into Patrick over those 4 measly freaking tampons. So either or, I owe him money, right? So finally, 14th comes, I phone up the probation officer. I say, hello, here's my story. You know, can you help me find him? I want to give him his money. Oh, well, I don't even know if I know him. Doesn't sound familiar to me. Blah, blah, blah. We'll investigate it. I'm like, oh, okay. So, but I'm now like warring with the bank, right? Because, you know, by the 14th, I went to go do some more banking, buy a couple more packs of smokes. I already, you know, been dipping into it, right? Because he's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, Seems like the check's gone through because I can keep using the card and keep buying smokes. But by the 14th, what they did is they reversed the check. $685.14. So I phone up the bank. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened? Oh, well, you know, well, nobody knows. You got to phone your home branch, which happens to be in Victoria because that's where we came from. And we haven't been back there for 20 years. So we do all our bank through Interact banking, right? Over here. And it's just getting worse, people. Because, you know, eventually they sent back the check. Right? Got this, got that, got this. All stamped on there is to say that it's been tampered with. It doesn't tell you where or why or how. It just says it has been. So for all we know, it could still be real and the bank is just trying to cover their ass because they fucked up. I personally think that they did. Because when we asked her why she's not keeping the check, initially when we were in the bank with that little scene going on with her, it smells. That's really good business practices. You know, we she said she said that the federal government said that she can't keep it. Because I said, well, if there's something wrong with the check, why don't you keep it? She said that the federal government, through the banking system, wouldn't allow that to happen. That she was obligated to go give it back if the customer asked for it back. But as of today, I made some phone calls. And I phoned up Revenue Canada after my bank told me not to do that last Friday. Because I want to know. And the bank didn't go through the federal government. They went through Public Works. So I have to phone up and ask what they're all about. And it's the bank that makes the rules, not the federal government. And if it's determined that it was a real scam, then I'm supposed to report it to the police. I just found that out today from the federal government. Canada, Revenue Canada. The bank never told me that. The probation officer never told me that. Nobody has told me that. Only Revenue Canada. If it's a scam. But nobody's pointing out to me where it's scamful. What they've done instead is they've hijacked my dad's account. And this is what brought me to this. Because I was kind of building up to it anyway. And this was a little bit longer of an introduction than I wanted to do. But we'll just move it on to the board the next video. I'll add in my household debt. We'll add in a few other figures in here and we'll start connecting some dots. And we're going to see how big business, big government, and big banksters are marginalizing the poorest of the poor. So in the meantime, what the bank has done is they've hijacked my dad's account. They've put a hold on my card because I have power of attorney, because I do all the banking, right? They've hijacked his card. He had his pension, two pensions deposited in at the end of the month, so he's got two in there. They've taken out their $644 and some odd cents, so they've gotten their money back. And on the 14th, when I found out that they hijacked shit and turned it and reversed everything around, I told them, you'll get your money back at the end of the month, so that's not the issue here. But because the bank manager called me on Friday, told me not to phone Revenue Canada, wait for him to call me, He somehow, I don't know what the hell he did, but he's made it so that we can't access my dad's money, what's left, minus the $644. Even though I got approved for a welfare check, filled out all the forms, submitted all the ID, all the paperwork that they wanted, put in a stub like they wanted to because I'm not back on the system for direct deposit. Guess what didn't come in the mail today? I didn't get a welfare check today. In 2 days, my car insurance comes out. In 2 days, I got my life insurance coming out of my account. Those are going to go NSF. So what, is the bank going to charge me $80 NSF for holding my dad's account hostage today because I can't even go to his account, take out a couple $100, put it in my account to cover those things that are coming out because I have to crisscross on things sometimes, right? Because if I go shopping, sometimes I find things on sale, I put them in storage or whatever, right? Or I'll pay more bills from my account, less bills on it. How it all, at the end of the day, my dad relies on me to do these things. But we can't access his account because they're investigating this fucking check that they don't even want to tell us what's wrong with it. So now I'm facing with my car going NSF in terms of my car insurance. I know my London life insurance. Are we going to be able to pay rent? I don't see a welfare check. The reason I went to welfare is because I got BC Revenue Services calling up my house day after day, harassing me with their collection agency for freaking ambulance bills. I have to pay for my dad's MSP, medical service plan, right? But when it comes down to paying rent, paying hydro, paying gas, like heat, and the fridge. Because I bought the fridge before they took out my grandson. I was budgeting in the fridge before they took out my grandson. They took out my grandson and I got stuck with a fucking fridge I couldn't afford anymore. Even though I had just bought it 2 weeks prior. So I've been struggling with that fridge. Every freaking month I have to come up with $200 fucking dollars. So by the time I pay the rent, the hydro, the gas, and the fridge, doesn't leave very much left over. You can kiss the other bills goodbye. And while they're with their Visa taking over $500 a month between the two credit cards just so they can turn around and hijack my dad's account after some Punjabi manager that it smells. I can see a check when it smells, but I'm just not going to tell you. And when you go and run it through the ATM because you feel sorry for this little white trash piece of shit standing in front of me, don't come back crying to me and say it was my fault. Well, you got Christy Clark up here bragging on about her AAA credit rating. Well, we're going to show you where that AAA credit rating comes from. Mark my words. That's where I'm going to leave it for now. Okay, members and friends, something's going on down here. I'm going to go down here and see. So I don't know. Doesn't look like they're doing anything. Somebody called. Said somebody was doing something over here. I seen somebody laying up in here. I guess they called for this fella. This person just, well, you can see there, right? They thought maybe he was dead. Hold on. So I was just saying to the ambulance attendants there, I guess BC Revenues there doesn't get their $80 on their service call because the fella that they came to see is over there, and I guess he's just sunbathing. He's just sunbathing. I suppose there's somebody from over in these buildings over here, right, phoned and thought that maybe somebody else had died in here, but they left him alone, and he's not causing no trouble. I'm just hanging out, sunbathing, probably not feeling too well. It's kind of cold outside. Maybe we should go talk to him, see if he's got something to say. Hold on. Okay, members and friends, we're by the man here that is sunbathing. That's what he said. I'm just laying up in here getting some sun. Isn't that what you just told me?
Yeah, that's it.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the sunlight.
Yeah, so I guess it was those people over there that thought maybe you kicked off or something.
Well,
I'm going to put this a little closer so we can hear, huh?
I think I was going to steal a fence or something. I don't know.
What's that?
I think I was going to steal a fence here.
Steal what?
Steal a fence here.
Steal what?
The fence.
Oh, steal the fence. Oh yeah, because he's on, he's on the fence here. So I'm on the fence with him. I think there's a lot of people on the fence these days.
Like a politician, eh? Just like a politician on the fence.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. Lots of people on the fence these days. Well, when I was coming down, I was saying, well, I guess BC Revenue doesn't. They're not going to get their $80 for this service call.
No. But they came out 6 strong. They were carrying an ambulance with me for me.
Yeah, and a fire truck too.
Yeah.
So I, how do you feel about that?
Well, it'd be great if I was hurt or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but last time I got hurt, I sat there for quite a while before anybody came by and checked on me.
I want you just to bring this a little closer because your voice is very low. So the last time you got hurt, you were sitting down and nobody came for quite a while, eh?
Yeah. But it was nice, to know that somebody cares.
Somebody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And what's also nice too is they left you alone.
Sure.
They're not saying get off the property, right? You're not causing no trouble out here, right? So.
Yeah, I think there's not much I can do out in the middle of this now. There's not much in the way of bush, there's not much of anything here.
No.
It'd be a nice
Somebody
park
moved in over there in the corner and kind of built themselves. If you see that fence
Yeah.
over there is somebody out there camping in the corner. And the lady in the house next door to it, apparently she feeds them, right?
Yeah, well, there's not a hell of a lot left here.
No, that's because 2 people died in here. They got murdered in here, right? And then they covered them up. And then these people over here called, not because of the murder. Nobody knew that they were buried in here and under the brush. And when the police came in because at that point there was like lots of homeless, because they clear them out and they move back in. I've been in this neighborhood for 4 years. So they came in and they started clearing out the people, and that's when they came across the 2 dead people, right? And then after that, because the people that own this property, it's a corporation of some kind, 11 different owners or something, I don't know. Anyway, they've been having lots of problems, right? And getting lots of fines from the city. So that's when they came in and just bulldozed everything down. That's what they've done, and they made it a big open space.
Well, it'll be a park once this grows into grass.
Yeah, well, it's really mulchy.
Yeah, well, it might take a little while, but a couple of years.
It'll be back. Yeah. Well, they're supposed to be building like townhouses or condos or something, right?
More townhouses.
Yeah, that's
halfway down the hill. Yeah.
Townhouses that normal people like us can't afford.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. So are you homeless? I see you got a bag here.
Yeah.
So you are, eh? So you're just toughing it out then, huh? Well, you look pretty good though. You got clean clothes and a nice jacket and I like your hat. Can I take a picture of your hat here? I'm just gonna go over like this and go like that. Look at that hat. That's a lovely hat. It's got a bird on it. This is great.
It's been around.
Yeah. Okay, well, I want to just make sure you're okay too, right?
Oh, I'm fine.
Huh?
I'm fine.
Yeah, because I work on a nonprofit. I'd love to see.
Something here.
Yeah. And, but I lost my little grandson last year to the Ministry of Children and Family Development. So this last year I'm getting him back slowly but surely. I'm, working on it. But it kind of derailed me for a whole year. But hopefully in the next few months I'll be able to maybe contact the company. And I ran across some people that have access to teepees.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we could set up a bunch of teepees in here and kind of like do a community event or something.
Sure.
So that's what I'm going to approach them with, right? But hopefully.
Good luck in that.
Huh?
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
I can't say I think your odds are all that good, but good luck.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, it's good to know that you're okay, and it's good to know that our public services are still acting as like a public service.
Yeah.
And you didn't get dinged.
Yeah, no, you give me a ticket for loitering or
What's that?
Loitering. I'm not sure what it is that they give me a ticket for.
They gave you a ticket?
Oh, not yet.
No, they didn't take you. If they took you in the ambulance, they charge you $80.
Yeah.
And then they harassed you for that $80.
So I don't need that either.
Under the BC Liberal government, unfortunately. Under the NDP, it was a public service.
The Liberals are.
Yeah, they're not doing too good for a lot of people, right? But it's nice to see that they came out here and they left you alone. So I'm going to leave you alone and let you continue to sunbathe because I got to see my little grandson at 3.
Hey, you have yourself a good one.
All right, let's shake in front of the camera here. All right, sir, take care.
Have a good one.
God bless you. Okay? All right. Okay, members and friends. He's playing a tune for us. Oh, no, don't stop. Do it again. I'm trying to, I love the flute. I'm just trying to make sure we can hear it. That's up my alley. I think he's got more there. All right. I scared them away. There was 2 of them in here.